When you're looking to drive growth for your SaaS business, there's a lot of things that need to come together. And a lot of times, in order to drive growth, multiple disciplines need to actually come together and get aligned. This is departments including sales, marketing, and even product. If you're in the super early stages, chances are it's you, the founder, that's sitting in a room trying to figure all these parts out. If you're in the mid stages or the later stages, you may have a whole team of people. But at the end of the day, at the core of all of these activities that are going to be going on is your one singular go-to-market strategy. In order to drive growth for your SaaS business, you actually need to have a differentiated go-to-market strategy. So in this episode, I'm gonna walk you through my golden checklist, the 5 key things that you absolutely need to have as part of your go-to-market strategy. And when you have these 5 key things, everything comes together, the people get aligned, and you're gonna be able to drive the growth of your SaaS business. Intro. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Unstoppable. I'm TK, and on this channel, I help SaaS founders like you grow your SaaS businesses faster with an unstoppable strategy. Now, if you are new to this channel, welcome. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon because I drop a video like this 2 to 3 times a week with actionable strategies to grow your SaaS business with the TK energy. Now, if you're already part of this community, if you're part of my SaaS go-to-market coaching programs, my people, welcome back. It's really good to see you over here. I remember in the super early days of ToutApp, the sales engagement platform that I started back in 2011, even though we had raised a couple $1 million, we still were in this catch-22 situation. We had a few $1 million, but we couldn't really recruit or find quality demand gen people or a VP of marketing. And so in those super early stages, it was literally me and a couple others sitting in a room, in a dark room, trying to figure out all these core pieces around how to drive growth for the SaaS business. Now, fast forward a few years, as we grew, as we figured out a few things, as we raised more money, we were able to bring on a full leadership team. We had heads of marketing, we had a VP of sales, and through those really smart people, I started to get a rounded understanding of what it takes to actually build a go-to-market strategy. Some of the stuff I had to learn it and earn it on my own in the super early days. Some of the stuff I learned from some of the best. And so what I started to appreciate is that in the early stages, a lot of times the strategy gets grazed over. Specific parts of a go-to-market strategy doesn't get addressed. And when you do that, now that I have over 75 founders in my go-to-market program, I started to learn that there are key things that need to go into your go-to-market strategy. And if you don't have them, then you're actually not going to be successful despite your best efforts. So in this episode, I'm going to walk you through the 5 key items you need in your go-to-market strategy, why you need them. And if you stay till the end of the video, I'll give you a bonus one as well, which is super, super powerful. So if you're excited to dig in, go ahead and smash that like button and let's dig right into it. So item number 1 is your ideal customer profile. Now, a lot of times when I talk to founders and when I talk to exec teams, I'll ask them, like, do you have an ideal customer profile? And it turns out they don't really have an ideal customer profile. They have an ideal customer list, or they have a notion of an ideal customer profile, but they don't actually have a fleshed out proper version of it. A great ideal customer profile goes into a lot more detail into who are these people, why they matter, why they're buying now. It has a much deeper understanding on exactly how to find them. That's a true ideal customer profile. I remember at the Marketo days, Marketo bought ToutApp, we actually instituted an ideal customer profile. And when we did the analysis, we found that when we did deals that were in the ICP, the ideal customer profile, our win rates were higher, the deal sizes were longer, and our sales cycles were actually shorter. Whenever we did deals outside of the ICP, everything was a lot slower and a lot more terrible, and our win rates were horrendous. And so we started to see the power of truly doing the work on an ideal customer profile. And if you're truly trying to drive growth for your SaaS business, you actually need to really define your ICP and create a proper ideal customer profile. That's the first thing you absolutely need to do in your go-to-market strategy and get alignment with whether it's your co-founder and you, or it's a couple of people, or your full leadership team. Related to the ideal customer profile, the next thing that you really absolutely need to flesh out are macro trends. Now, this is something that I learned isn't talked about as much by all the marketing people out there and the experts out there. And even in my early days, I conceptually kind of like intrinsically knew it was important, but no one explicitly called it out. Macro trends are big external things that are happening in the world to your ICP that really necessitate your solution. So my favorite example of all time is I invested in a company, it's my friend's company, called DataGrail. DataGrail is an incredible company. They're a GDPR compliance company, and their CEO is Daniel Barber, longtime friend of mine, and I deeply respect him as a CEO. They realized that most of the world is going to be under some sort of a compliance and privacy law by 2025, 2030. And so there needs to be a privacy compliance platform. That's a macro trend, meaning every customer they go to, they can say, look, most of the world is going to have some sort of a privacy law. There's GDPR, there's CCPA, New York's going to have one, Mexico's going to have one, Canada's going to have one, everyone's going to have one, so you need a privacy platform. These are what I call macro trends. These are things that are happening to your ideal customers, whether they want it to happen or not, it's happening. And it just so happens that it aligns with the problem and the solution that you are trying to market and sell into the market. So understanding what the macro trends are and how they're impacting your ideal customers is super, super important in your go-to-market strategy. Don't skip this part, because if you go to the rest of the parts, then you won't really know how to actually flesh out these other things that I'm going to tell you. This is super important for your ICP. And one of the things you'll notice is each of these items actually build on each other, meaning your ideal customer profile becomes that much richer when you actually add the macro trends to it. So now let's go to the third item. Once you have the ideal customer profile and you have the macro trends, the third thing that you really need to flesh out in your go-to-market strategy is your value proposition. And in addition to your value proposition, this really bundles into your messaging and your positioning. These three things essentially bring together exactly how you're going to position your product, meaning how are you going to differentiate from your competitors, other players in the market, what segment of the market you're going to go into that pulls from your ICP, and it also clearly communicates what customers or future customers get when they buy your product. Simple litmus test for our value proposition is my software, ToutApp, helps salespeople generate more pipeline. That's essentially a very simple value prop. Obviously, it's gotten evolved. Sales engagement is a much bigger space, but at the core of it, that was our value proposition. And while it's simple to say, it took a lot of market development, understanding of our ideal customer, understanding the macro trends for us to really understand that this was an important value proposition. And it actually made it necessary for us to actually dig into, well, what's going on in their worlds and what are the macro trends, so we can actually message this properly and position this properly. So one simple example of this is we knew that when it came to pipeline, marketing was responsible for pipeline, and there was marketing automation. So when we all of a sudden had an email tool for emailing your future customers, they were like, well, isn't that what marketing automation is for? And we actually had to massage our messaging and clarify our value proposition and actually position ourselves to say, no, this is for salespeople. It is email, it is phone calls, but it's to generate pipeline, but this is separate from marketing. There was a whole amount of work that went into this to actually define the value prop, to actually talk about the messaging, and to position it in the right way so that people would understand why this is a new piece of technology they need to add, even if they already had marketing automation. This is the first three things that you absolutely need to have fleshed out in your go-to-market strategy. Now, before I go into number 4 and number 5, and I do have a bonus one for you, let me just pause here for a second. Are you starting to see the power in this? Are you starting to see the power of actually fleshing out a strategy? One of the biggest mistakes that I personally made is not knowing the difference between strategy and execution, especially when it comes to go-to-market. Execution is sending those emails, running those ads, making those phone calls, asking for referrals. Strategy is actually fleshing out what we're gonna say, how we're gonna say it, and who we're gonna say it to when we are doing those activities. And if you just do those activities, it's almost like loading up a giant machine gun and loading it with blanks and firing away at anything and nothing happens, and you're like, I'm firing away, nothing's happening. It's because you don't have the strategy. Are you starting to see the power in this? If you're starting to see the power in this, can I just get a yes in the comments below? Also, smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It really likes it when you do that. You wanna know why? It really likes it when you do that because then it can go to other founders and really spread our message, and it can share it with more people that are looking for this type of advice. It also just means the world to us. So please smash that like button and also comment below with a yes. Now, if you're in the stages where you're realizing, hey, we need to flesh out our go-to-market strategy, but you don't quite know how to do each of these pieces, this is exactly why I created my SaaS go-to-market coaching program. I have over 75 founders inside of this program. We actually help founders and CEOs and leadership teams flesh out their go-to-market strategy and accelerate their growth. I'll tell you more about it at the end of this video. I'll also link to it below. But let's go to principle number 4, step number 4, or item number 4 in this golden checklist for your go-to-market strategy. Item number 4 is once you've had the ideal customer profile, you understand them in a deeper level with the macro trends, you've started to flesh out your value proposition, your messaging, your positioning, then you need to codify all of this into a strategic narrative. And what I like to call this, especially in my program, founders in my program will know this, and leaders in my program, I call this your manifesto. Now, I believe that every software company, the successful ones, you think of any successful software company out there, I believe that they're movements, they're transformations. These are change agents in the world, especially for this ICP. And in order for them to be successful and drive this transformation and convince people that they need to transform, you actually need to write your manifesto. And a manifesto and a strategic narrative is a compelling way to explain why you exist, what's the big change in the world that's happening, how are you gonna help them with that transformation, and how are you gonna help them win. That's your strategic narrative and that's your manifesto. And if you don't do this piece, then a lot of other stuff won't work. And you can't do this piece unless you do these things. So like I said, they all build on each other. What this means is when you actually have a strategic narrative, you'll get more alignment and clarity just within yourself on why you're building it and what the big change is. You'll get alignment with your team, you'll get alignment with your board, your investors. Most importantly, you'll get alignment with the market because you'll go out and tell your story in a very compelling way. I found that when you actually have nailed your strategic narrative, your website becomes easier. Your pitch deck becomes clearer. Your sales demo deck becomes more succinct. All of these things start to come together from the strategic narrative because you've really started to codify how all these pieces work together. So once you have these critical components, the ideal customer profile, the macro trends, the value prop, the messaging, the positioning, and the strategic narrative, then you can actually start executing. But right before you start executing, you should be very thoughtful about your key channels. Now, there are different ways to get attention out there in the world. You can do outbound. You can send emails that are cold. You can run ads. You can post on LinkedIn and do social. You can do SEO. There's literally so many ways you can get attention with your ideal customers and get your messaging and your strategic narrative in front of them so they take action. But not every channel is perfect for every audience. Not every channel is ideal depending on your ideal customer profile. And so you want to be very purposeful about which channels you go after and how you actually dominate them. Most startups, especially in the early stages, when they really start to crack growth, they master one channel. And it's a different channel for every company, but they find that one channel where they're like, this is it. We can get really great at this. And so this is why it's even more important to really think about what are our key channels and what's the one where we dominate. Because if you can find that and you can double down on that, then you'll be able to accelerate your growth and take all this messaging work that you did and positioning work that you did and tell your story to your ideal customers in a very, very effective way. So this is super important in that as you're thinking about the channels, you want to think about which ones within the capabilities of your team, how to do it effectively, and how to make sure that you don't burn your brand. Like you don't want to do is send out 1,000 emails that are poorly crafted and now everyone knows your company sucks. So you want to be very, very purposeful about it. Now, if you want to dig more into how these channels work and which ones to prioritize and how to think about it, check out this video where I go a lot more into the key B2B SaaS channels that you can use to get attention in the world once you've actually fleshed out your go-to-market strategy. You don't have to go right now because I have a bonus one for you. I'll link to it below so you can check it out after this video. Once you have all these key pieces, there's one more thing that I found to actually codify in your go-to-market strategy that will actually help you grow faster. You wanna know what it is? It is your pricing strategy. Now, this I didn't think about, I wasn't as proactive. There we go, I think I got strategy, S-T-R-A, there we go, strategy. I wasn't as proactive about it as I should have been the first time around in the earlier days of Touta, but I realized that I could do all this work and start to get a lot more pipeline, a lot more people getting into trials, a lot more people getting into demos. But if my pricing strategy wasn't optimized, I would be leaving money on the table or I'd be losing deals. And so I started to understand that you can be a lot more effective with your pricing strategy than with the same pipeline you're generating, same number of users, you can actually make more money. And this is super powerful because it also helps you differentiate in the market along with your messaging. Along with everything that you're saying that you do, your pricing also communicates volumes about how you position yourself in the market. So fleshing out your pricing strategy is also one of the key components to your go-to-market strategy. So let's recap all the key items that you need. Number one, you need your ideal customer profile. Not an ideal customer list, not an idea, but an actual profile to be actually fleshed out. Number two, you need to actually research your macro trends and understand what's going on with these folks. Number three, you need to develop your value prop, your messaging, and your positioning. And then you can take that and actually build out your strategic narrative. Once you've done that, then you actually need to deploy that in a consistent way across key channels, and you need to figure out which one you can dominate in so you can scale. And then as you're doing all these pieces and getting into deals and converting users, depending on whether you're sales driven or product led, you actually need to flesh out your pricing strategy and make sure that's effective as well, so you're not leaving money on the table. You do these key things, this is my golden checklist for a go-to-market strategy, you'll be able to align key parts of your team, key disciplines, and you'll be able to accelerate the growth of your SaaS business. Now you know what those key things are, so you don't skip over any of them. And remember, each one of those things builds over the previous. You won't be able to do a strategic narrative if you don't have these key things actually fleshed out. And you won't be able to do these things if you don't know the macro trends, and the macro trends won't matter if you don't have a specific ideal customer profile. So they all build off of each other. And when you do it in this order, you're gonna be a lot more effective in actually crafting your go-to-market strategy and executing on it. Now you know what the key items are, but you may not know how to do each of these things. You may not know how to actually flesh out an ideal customer profile, what it really looks like. You may not know how to find the right macro trends and which ones work and which ones don't work. You may not know how to actually develop your value prop. You may not know how to craft your strategic narrative, and you may not know how to operate in specific channels. This is exactly why I created my SaaS go-to-market coaching program. My SaaS go-to-market coaching program has over 75 founders in it. It's a very boutique program specifically only for B2B SaaS businesses that are in the early stages and looking to accelerate their growth. And inside of this program, I help you flesh out your ideal customer profile. I help you build your positioning and messaging. I help you actually craft your strategic narrative. I help you craft your pricing strategy, and then I help you execute one channel at a time and figure out where you can dominate and then scale from there. It's an end-to-end program. I'm really proud of all the progress we've made inside of this program with all the founders we have, and we do have more spots open for you to join. So if you're looking to build out your go-to-market strategy, go through each of these key things, and you want guidance, you want my coaching, you want my step-by-step training, then I invite you to check out my SaaS go-to-market coaching program and apply to join. Just go to tkcater.com/GTM, tkcater.com/GTM. I'll link to it below as well. You can go over there. You can check out all the details around the program. At the end of the page, you'll be able to fill out your email and fill out a little application that will allow us to get on a call. And on that call, we can do a strategy session and figure out if we can actually help you given where you are with your SaaS business. And if we can, we're off to the races. We can start working right away to build out your go-to-market strategy, and then we scale from there. I want to thank you for watching this video all the way to the end. It really means a lot. If you got value from this, please smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. If you have a fellow founder, if you have a team member that could get value from this, please share this video with them. It would mean the world to us. I'll link to the additional video I mentioned down below so you can check that out as well. I'll link to the coaching program application form down below so we can explore working together. And also, I drop a video like this 2 to 3 times a week, specifically on how to grow your SaaS business. So be sure to hit the subscribe button and that bell icon if you haven't already. And lastly, remember, everyone needs a strategy for their life and their business. When you are with us, yours is gonna be unstoppable. I'm TK, and I'll see you in the next episode.